And we're back here live. Good morning, Corning on KBKG More Music 93.5, episode number 2. We're here at the station headquarters here in Corning, Arkansas. Beautiful crime-free Corning, Arkansas. God's country, as we like to call it. Bart is taking over here on the babysitting duties, and certainly appreciate it. She looked at Mark and then turned the other way. Yep. No, I'm kidding. Again, I appreciate my co-hosts Bart White and Mark Hufford. We have got a new guest on here. Excited about this one. And speaking of new, he's a new assistant coach here at Corning for the football team.
We got him away from Piggott.
Yes, that's the most important thing.
We got him back.
We won't talk about that, though. We won't put him on the spot about that.
The nicely dressed, ever cool Mr. Connor Daniels. Connor, tell us a little bit about yourself for those that may not know you.
This is my second year starting coaching. Started last year at Piggott. I could thank Coach Harrell over there for giving me that opportunity. As soon as I was in college at the time, and he asked me if I planned on still coaching. He had heard that I had planned on coaching, and I said, yes, sir. That's what I've kind of always pictured myself doing. And he said, well, your last semester, he said, you can come over after you get out of class and we'll give you an internship, kind of, nothing paid or anything, just, getting the experience of coaching, kind of getting your feet wet and see how you like it. And after I had a great experience doing that, and then, after that, I graduated college and opportunity kind of opened itself up and got my feet started there. And then opportunity I saw that came here, and I took advantage of it. I'm glad to be back at Corning. Glad to be Bobcat.
Awesome. Now, for those that don't know, tell us where you grew up at and what year you graduated.
Okay. Well, I'm originally from Mississippi. Me and my family are.
Okay.
Grew up in a little town called Pontotoc, Mississippi. It's about the size of Pocahontas.
Okay.
And most people don't know where Pontotoc is.
I never heard of it until you told me that before.
Right.
Yeah.
It's in between. Well, usually when people ask, I tell them it's usually in between Oxford and Tupelo, and they usually know where Oxford and Tupelo is at.
Sure.
Yes, it's pretty much dead center between Oxford and Tupelo. Went to school there. Went to a school called South Pontotoc, and grew up there. Went there I went to South Pontotoc from K through 5th, and then Christmas break of my 5th grade year moved to South Mississippi, around the Hattiesburg area, and went there from half of 5th grade to half of 8th grade, and then 8th grade moved back to South Pontotoc. Went there for half of 8th grade, and then the summer before my 9th grade year, moved to Corning, Arkansas.
There we go.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. Now, let me ask this. When did you know, I know you said Coach Harrell had come to you, but when did you know that, hey, this is what I want to do? I want to be a coach.
I had always kind of had it in the back of my mind. That's kind of what I wanted to do. My dad started me off real young loving football, and I just, he got me a little bitty, in which, I'm from Mississippi, so I'm an Ole Miss fan.
We won't hold that against you.
That's right.
We were going to take your license plate off before you left, but
I think Jeremy's out there doing it now.
I think he is. Yeah, we're going to put a Razorback on there, but yeah.
But when I was little bitty, he got me one of those plastic Ole Miss helmets with the jersey and everything.
Sure.
And man, he'd get out there with me and throw the ball around and teaching me how to take handoffs.
Yeah.
And man, I just picked it up and ran with it. I've loved the game of football ever since. And it's always been in the back of my mind. I actually went to college to do something different. I ended up changing my degree plan 3 times. I first started off as going to be a flight nurse, and then I changed to physical therapist, and then I finally was like, you know what, I think that God has in store for me. I think he wants to be a football coach. So
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that happens a lot.
Yes, sir.
When you're young, you have ideas, but there's so much out there you're not even aware of, and I think life just takes you, and I think you just got to go. You got to follow that road and trust the process. And you had mentioned your dad. Now, didn't your dad coached for a few years, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. He has.
Does he love football more than you?
Woo! I think I adopted that love of football from him, but man, it's deep with him. I would say that I love it, but my dad is a hardcore football person. I tell you.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, man. All the kids that played for him in Pee Wee,
yes, sir.
I heard nothing but good. And I know your dad, and
right.
he's a great man.
Yeah.
Heard nothing but good things about him.
Yes, sir.
Now, Connor, what position did you play back in the day?
Well, are we talking about high school?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
High school, I played inside linebacker and running back.
Very nice.
Yes,
very nice.
Yes,
yeah. So you obviously had to be very physical if you're going to do that.
Oh, I loved contact.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Now you obviously this is your first year. Tell me your thoughts on Coach Shelton. Not only as a coach, but as a friend.
Right. Man, Coach Shelton is one of the most gifted-minded football men I've ever met. He is a fantastic person, not just when it comes to the X's and O's, but just as a person. Me and him have sat down and had several conversations just to talk with him. You know, it's as easy as going to sleep when you're tired. You know, he's just a great man to get along with and a phenomenal person. He has a great family. I get along with his son well, his wife. I've only met a few times, but she's just as sweet as she can be.
Yes, she is.
And he is a great, outstanding man. Sure is.
I've said this 100 times. I love his enthusiasm, man.
Oh, he does. He has wonderful enthusiasm. Man.
High energy.
I mean, you can tell that, you know, God intended for him to be a football coach.
Yep.
He really did. He really did.
He's proven himself for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely he has. And, man, the kids love him. They eat him up. He loves the sport. He loves the kids. You know, he, like you said, his enthusiasm, you can tell how much he really, truly cares and his passion for the game and for the kids.
Go ahead, Mark.
Hey, Connor, let's talk about your playing days.
Yes, sir.
Is there a game that sticks out to you that just will always be a fond memory?
Oh, man. You know, for some reason in which we beat them my freshman year, and that was the only year we ended up beating them. But playing Osceola was always fun. I don't know why, but that was always a fun game. I loved playing Osceola. Piggott was always a fun game.
Sure.
Like I also with them, beat them my freshman year. And
There you go.
after that, we didn't ended up not coming on the good side of the, you know, coming on the win side of things after that. But, man, at Piggott and Osceola, those are always really fun games. Those always work for some reason.
Andy mentioned the losing streak we had,
Yes, sir.
and that that is a bad deal. But man, there's a lot of games that we were in.
Oh,
Through all
absolutely.
those. It wasn't that we just went in 42 times in a row or whatever and just got blowed out.
No,
there
sir.
was games. I mean, we just almost won.
Right.
You know, it wasn't that we were. I mean, we weren't a bad team. We just,
You're right.
you know, we played some good ball games, and we had a
Absolutely.
few games we should have won, but we didn't. But you know, when you reflect to that record, it's not like that we wasn't any good at all.
No,
we had some good
absolutely. We
football
had some
teams, some
great
good athletes.
talent.
Yeah, we did.
We did.
We did.
I mean, my senior class, we had Cole Haywood, Cope Robinson, Gordo Gonzalez, Jacob Ward. There's several names that comes to the top of my head. Drew Radcliffe, he's a new teacher and coach here at Corning, and that was his first year playing. Was my senior year. I tried talking to him every single year into playing, and he'd always say he's going to, and then he ended up backing out the last minute. And he's been my best friend ever since 9th grade. And finally, I was like, man, it's our senior year. You have to play football. You're gonna regret it if you don't.
Bingo.
And he's always been a baseball guy. And me and him made a deal. I said, well, dude, I'll tell you what, if you play football, because I always ran track and did weightlifting and stuff like that during the off season. So I said, I'll tell you what, I said, if you come out for football your senior year, I said, I'll play baseball.
Yeah.
And so we made that deal, and we both kept true to it and loved both sports.
Did you play a role in getting Coach Radcliffe over here, too? Did you have any little, or vice versa?
So, funny story there. I honestly, and in all intents and purposes, I didn't hear about the Corning job opening up yet. So I was, still set on being at Piggott for a while anyways. And he texted me, said, I wanted to let you know as your best friend. He said, I wanted you to be one of the first ones to know that I've been talking and I got an interview coming up at Corning. And he said, I plan on hopefully going over there. If not, Piggott's just fine. He said, but I hopefully land over there. And he said, you do know there's a football opening, right? And he said, I'd like for you to come over with me if that's something you'd be interested in. And I had no idea. I said, well, shoot, heck yeah, that'd be nice to land a spot back home. So he actually told me about the job opening. So I went over there and interviewed and got to work things out.
That's awesome. Who did you play for here whenever you played? Who was your coach then?
So freshman year was Coach Thomas and Coach Killebrew. And then they were the junior high coaches at the time. And then my sophomore year was Coach Spear.
Okay.
And then junior and senior year was Coach Stout.
I don't guess I remember Coach Thomas. What do you remember, Coach Thomas?
Is he the one that had the surgery?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Caleb?
Yes, Caleb
Thomas. He was a good dude.
Okay. How long was he here?
He
was here about 4 or 5 years, maybe?
About 4 or 5.
My kids had him in class and loved him.
Really?
Okay.
He was a great man, too. Outstanding man.
He's a super nice guy.
I'm glad you said that, outstanding man, because Connor, I've obviously dealt with you some other things before, but every time I've dealt with you, you've always been extremely professional. You've always been extremely well-mannered, and I just want to say that comes across, and people notice that, whether you realize it or not. Whenever I started this radio show, I wanted people on here, and I was going through. Obviously, I wanted all the new assistants if I could, and And I'm like, man, when Connor gets here, I mean, he's going to be very professional on the radio. He's going to be perfect for this. And
I appreciate that.
because you always have been, towards me or anybody that I've seen you around and talking to. And
Yes, sir.
I don't know if Dad's to get the credit for that, or Mom, or who, but
Both of them.
Yeah.
Both of them. They wouldn't, growing up, in their house, they wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah.
That was one of Dad's biggest deals was, he had zero tolerance for disrespect, and that's kind of what I try to instill with my teaching and
Yeah.
coaching too, the best I can, anyways, because there's certain limits that you can't cross. But
And you're right what you just said. A lot of the disrespect and respect comes from your parents.
yes, sir,
Teaching.
absolutely.
And I've
Absolutely.
said the same thing about him to my wife. I said, that's the nicest young man that
yeah,
I've ever been
yeah. I
around.
mean, and not only that, but positive. We've talked about other things before, and you always find a way to spin it to a positive. Instead of harping on the negatives and stuff, and I like that.
Yes,
and
sir.
I think kids like these kids that just showed up here, I think they need that. I think they need a coach that's like that.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to ask you of the staff, you're one of the younger ones.
Yes, sir.
I want to know. We had Coach Poe in here. I know he listened to all kinds of different music. He claimed. What does Coach Shelton listen to? Do y'all ever hear him jamming anything?
Honestly, I'm trying to recollect the time. I really don't think so. I mean, we played some music at practice, to get the kids going,
Yeah.
get the energy and the blood flowing. But as far as just knowing what Coach Shelton listens to on his off time, I really can't.
I was hoping we'd figured it out because I don't think he answered that the other day either.
Yeah, I really can't. I can't recall. No,
Okay.
I don't think I know.
We need to. If they don't listen to it, we need to introduce them to Metallica.
Yeah, I see Coach being like a classic country guy. You know what I mean? I don't
We
know.
should
why.
have asked him that.
I think we did, and he just kind of just deflected like the Kim A. Matoma, just swatted it. No, just swatted it out of here and went a different avenue. That's why I was asking him. So
I wouldn't have a clue. I'm sorry. I wish I could give
that's
y'all an
okay.
answer for that one.
So who's in charge of that music? Is that you, or is that?
No, I think Coach Poe, and then also a bunch of the kids come up with the playlist.
Oh,
so,
okay. Gotcha.
yes, sir.
You know, be careful with these kids now.
I know it.
I'll tell you a quick story about this. It has nothing to do with football, but my senior year in basketball, Coach Scott Wright was the coach then. My kids are going nuts back here. Y'all should ignore them. I'm a great parent, by the way. Anyways, Scott Wright was our coach, and he said, all right, guys, it's your senior year. You've done a lot in the offseason. I'm going to let you guys pick your own run-out music. I was like, oh, man. So we got together, and I don't even remember what we picked now. He says, as long as nobody complains, as long as there's nothing bad, blah, blah. Well, we got through half of a game, and some old fart out there went yelling at the coach, saying, I can't believe you let them have that blah, blah, blah over there. So the next game, this is not a lie, the next home game, we came out to Merle Haggard and Conway Twitty.
Oh, good.
When we first come out, it was, hello, darling. Nice to see you.
I just got a text message.
long
I just got a text message that Coach Shelton likes Old Rock.
Old Rock, there we go.
Rock.
Okay.
I can see that. I can see him
headbanging. The hair won't be doing anything, obviously, but yeah, I can see him headbanging there a little bit. So
He may like Metallica.
Hey, Coach Connor,
Yes, sir.
this is your first year back at Corning.
Yes, sir.
Going forward, looking at the younger group you got coming up, there's been a lot of talk about seventh grade. What's your take on that seventh grade?
Man,
team?
that seventh grade group, they're a scrappy bunch of kids. I'm telling you, they work hard, they listen. That's one of the things that really stands out to me is they listen. They really do. I mean, there's hardly ever a time in practice where you have to repeat yourself. I mean, they listen, they pay attention, they're very, very coachable. They're just a good group of kids. Me and my dad had the privilege of coaching a bunch of those kids in Pee Wee too, so I already knew a bunch of them, coming up, Nate Jansen and Dawson Leach and Christopher Scroggin, and there's a bunch of them that already knew and was familiar with, and that's like I said, that's a great special group of kids. I think they're going to be a blessing to coach whenever they get up in senior high.
What is their football IQ like at that age?
Actually, for a lot, they you can't say this for a lot of seventh graders, but for theirs, I think their football IQ is pretty high. I mean, they, a lot of like last night and when we beat EPC last week, I noticed that TJ Small, at running back, there was a couple of plays where he made some jump cuts and bounced it out. When it was intended to be an inside run, he bounced it out, and I'm just like, man, a lot of seventh graders, especially around here, that's not a play that they normally make.
Right.
yeah.
And, just last night, I'm trying to think of his name now. It's didn't come off the top of my head. Kendon McCollum. he made a almost a pick six. He didn't quite have the wheels for it, but he made a really long interception last night that, he read the play like a book. I mean, he was out there right where he needs to be, right where he was coached to be, and he made an excellent play on the ball. And I'm just like, I think that's a great, special group of kids. I think they do have a very high football IQ.
We talked to Jim and Jeremy and Chris a while ago,
Yes, sir.
and that's what we reflected on the Pee Wee program. Jeremy said, man, when we got 7th grade, he said, we didn't know how to put our helmets on, we didn't know how to put our pants on.
Absolutely.
The Pee Wee program helps get a lot of these boys prepared for that.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you said, I mean, you can contribute to some of that, them knowing what to do from
Right.
just playing Pee Wee,
Yes,
being
sir.
familiar with football and playing Pee Wee, Pee Wee
Oh,
football.
absolutely. I think some of your most successful and best programs, you got to start from Pee Wee. You got to start at a small age.
Right.
I mean, this kid over here, Landon Lucas, I remember coaching him in Pee Wees. I mean, if you don't, like I said, there's so many, and especially since they started it from, way back, it's done took off. But kids who don't start at a young age like that, they're so far behind.
Yeah,
they're
you
at
can
a
tell. You can tell
disadvantage.
difference.
Absolutely, you can tell. Absolutely, I mean, it goes unnoticeable. You see in a kid that's just starting in 7th grade compared to a kid that started in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. That they've already, especially along the contact side of, they've already experienced that hitting. And then, when you get up to 7th grade and you haven't noticed that yet, you can really tell the difference between, a
Right.
kid who's, never experienced that before. They can tend to be kind of timid, and those who've already know what it's like, and they know that helmet and that face mask and these pads are there for a reason. They're going to protect me, and I'm not going to get hurt. It's so.
Take me through a game week for an assistant coach on this staff. Starting early in the week there, or do you have certain responsibilities
Yes, sir.
for scouting a certain team? To take me through all that, if you don't mind.
Well, when I first got hired, along in the spring, I worked with him in the spring, and Coach Shelton kind of gave me a layout and overview of kind of how things are going to go. And I said, okay, that sounds good. And then we started summer, and started summer workouts, started summer off, training and stuff, and that's when we kind of had a coaches meeting. We had our first coaches meeting. He kind of laid out how everybody's, all the assistant coaches' responsibilities that they're going to have as far as scouting other team and scouting other opponents. And man, I'm telling you, during the summer, I was already scouting across county. He assigned us during the summer. He assigned, Coach Kyle a certain team to scout, Coach Bo a certain team to scout, Coach Barrages a certain team to scout. So I mean, our first couple of games, our first 4 or 5 games, we already kind of know and have an idea of what the other team is going to look like, going to be.
Right.
And man, he like I said, he's real good, real professional about giving us different responsibilities and to scout the other team and get their tendencies and everything. So
We've asked everybody that has come through. It's Bart's favorite question.
okay,
Did you have a celebrity crush growing up?
He's still growing up. So do you now have a celebrity crush?
There's several, honestly. I mean, goodness gracious. Jennifer Aniston's a classic. Jennifer Aniston.
Good choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rachel McAdams, really, really, really pretty woman. I don't know. I mean, there's tons of them that's racing through my head right now, but I mean, those
What kind of
are
music do
two.
you listen to?
I listen a little bit of everything, really. I mean, I listen to some country. I'm not gonna lie. I don't listen to like super old country.
Right.
But like my favorite kind of country is like 80s, 90s, like George Strait
Yep.
and
There
Garth
you go.
Brooks and Randy Travis. That's my kind
Andy
of country.
Earls. Yeah.
Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah.
I listen a little bit of everything. Country. I listen to some. I like 70s, 80s rock bands.
Right.
Def Leppard and all them. So.
Journey, REO Speedway.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
that's a bunch of good ones.
Absolutely.
Who was a role model for you growing up?
I can answer that before he does. His dad.
Yeah.
Well, he was a big one. He was a big one for sure. I think as far as when I got to Corning and just like the teachers and coaches that I had, y'all remember Mr. Patty? Mr. Patty was,
Oh, yeah. I
he was
played golf
one
with Mr. Patty.
He was one of my favorite teachers I've ever had. He was a fantastic man. Me and him would stay after class, and I would almost be late to my next class just because me and him would have conversation we could just talk for days.
Right.
He was a wonderful man. Wonderful
He's a good
man.
golfer, too.
Wonderful math teacher. I don't know if you ever had him for math, but man, he was a math guru. That dude.
I'm probably about as old as him, so I probably never had him.
Well, I didn't figure you did, but I'm talking just to anybody out there.
Anybody.
Don't give him any credit. He ain't that young. Come on.
Anybody out there that
Yeah,
if
Yeah.
they had Mr. Patty, it was a truly a blessing to
yeah.
learn from him and be around him. He was a wonderful.
He's not
man.
still teaching here, is he?
No, sir.
Okay.
No, sir. He retired a couple years ago.
That's what
He
I
actually, well, he might be. I know he went to. I want to say it was Naileyville, maybe, or Naylor.
I think he lives up there on the left where you get on the hill.
Yeah.
Going up. Yeah.
I think he went over there after he left from Corning and went over there. And I don't know. I'm not sure if he's still teaching or not. But
That's awesome. I like that. So, obviously, last week didn't go how we wanted it to.
no, sir.
In your eyes, this week, as far as practice and everything this week, has it been a good practice and the kids kind of bounced back and responded?
Yeah, I think we've had a good practice. I think we tried to keep a high energy, high positive energy. I mean, it's just like in a game. Stuff's going to go wrong, and you just can't harping on that. You got to have a short memory, and you just got to keep moving forward and, saying, well, the next play I'm going to do better. The next play I'm going to do better. I might have done this wrong. Know and realize what you did wrong and try to correct it. And I think I would say that we've had a pretty good practice this week.
Right.
I like on what you said just there. When you make a mistake, don't dwell on it.
Yes, sir.
Just
Learn
move
from
on
it.
and learn from it and move on.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully, the team takes that loss last week, learned what they need to improve on, and we see a change tonight. When they travel, it's pretty good travel, but
Yes, sir.
let's talk about traveling. Do you ride the bus with them?
Yes, sir, I do.
Do you hold your nose all the way back?
Boy, sometimes you want to. Sometimes we normally take a air conditioned bus. So it ain't as bad, but every once in a while it'll kind of.
He might have been talking about the gassy ones too, wasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure. Hey, the kids have that too, especially before those pregame meals, those churches and those wonderful ladies prepare for us. Man, it tends to have a backfire.
What did I miss? What did I run into?
Oh man.
They was asking if. I travel with the kids on the bus, and if I have to hold my nose every once in a while.
I leave you guys alone for like a minute, and this whole professional radio show just goes a quick turn
It
right.
had something to do with football.
Okay. All right.
Come on, Andy.
Gosh. Let's ask him what cologne he's wearing for
What kind of
crying out
cologne you
loud.
got on?
I think it's called Versace Eros.
Yep.
Versace Eros.
Andy, you
If
wearing
we win,
cologne?
if we, I was to say, if we win to, I may have forgot. Sorry. If we win tonight, we're all going to wear that.
I've wore it before.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay. You have some now?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I got on Sauvage.
Well, so what?
Sauvage.
You made that up.
No, I didn't. You don't know that.
It's yeah.
Okay.
Johnny Depp's one does the commercials for it.
Okay. All right. I got some kind of like cheap $10 Adidas stuff laying on this.
I'm still using
I
Stetson.
used to wear it. Oh my God!
Black gloves
Do you
and
really?
Still got Stetson.
Or, hey, what about black suede from Avon? That's what my dad used to wear.
Well, that's special occasions. I pull that out.
He just takes that weekly magazine and
Does
folds
the
it that little
Stetson
thing.
bottles still look like they always did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're still the same.
I'll be dang.
Don't worry about that.
You're the one brought the clone up, Andy.
Well, it was a joke. I didn't think you were going to ask him.
My God, we're trying to be professional. You want to know what kind of cologne the kid's got on? Give him a break.
I need help. I want to thank you,
Yes, sir.
Coach. I say Coach Connor now. Coach Connor Daniel.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you for being here.
Absolutely.
When I asked him this week, it was just
I
what
bet
time?
no, he said yes, sir. He didn't say yes.
I know you're right. Yeah, what time do I need to be there? I mean, so I've always appreciated you and I respect you. Sharp dressed man today. Obviously, you can see on the screen there. I love that we've got that back. That's awesome. And listen, man, if there's ever anything we can do for you, let us know. If you ever want to do an interview anytime, pregame, after game, whatever, just holler at us because
sir.
we really like you. And we like to keep you here at Corning. Don't stray back over to Piggott now. We got you. We're going to keep
Hey,
you. So.
we're joking with you about that. You got to start somewhere, and you,
Yes,
you
sir.
did the right thing.
Yeah,
man.
I
I
agree.
appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
totally agree.
That was
you
just a
said,
stepping
what God
stone for
had
you to get
planned
back
for
to
you.
Corning. That's
Yes,
right.
sir.
Absolutely. Folks, that's been new assistant coach, Connor Daniels. We sure do appreciate having him on. Guys, we got to